How are you? Happy New Year to you. Thank you for coming to hang out with us and to spend this time on this wonderful Monday with Recovery 101. We are here just to support, we're here to converse about, we're here to share about recovery, hoping that this road of recovery will always lead to daily wellness. I'm Aaron, and I'm sort of facilitating and hosting today with two of my homies, PRN staff and friends in recovery, comrades in wellness. And so I want to take a moment and just introduce or have them introduce themselves. We're going to start with the queen. Sarah, come on and tell everybody who you are and a little bit about Sarah.
Okay. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Sarah. I'm currently at home in between working my other full-time job. I work in Greensboro at the Public Health Department. And you may see my daughter pop in because she can't quite leave my side. But I am, I'm 29, just turned 29, just had a birthday. And thank you. And I am looking forward to this new year. Last year was tough. I know it was for me, and I know it was for a lot of people, everybody included. So I'm looking forward to just seeing what this new year brings.
Absolutely. Anticipation of something great. So the thing is, Sarah, we made it through. Here we are, right? So we definitely have something to build on and build into. Our other homie, sidekick, my buddy James. James, come on board and introduce yourself to our viewing family and tell us a little bit about James.
Hey, everybody, family. I'm James. I'm a PRN staff, peer support specialist. I'm out just a little bit in nature right now. Just want to take this call live in a little bit of, big backyardish kind of way. I'm excited about the topics. I'm also excited about the new year. I've been excited about the new year for a while, and I just know a lot of good things is going to change for everybody. So back to you, Aaron.
Cool. Thank you so much, both of you. So as we come in to 2021, so much happened as we had the paradigms really shift in 2020. And we said it the other day, I believe it was a town hall, we talked about the plot twist that nobody saw it coming, but it came, and we had to make so many adjustments. But out of crisis came opportunity. And what we did was develop and had an opportunity to build something really wonderful in 2021 because of 2020, right? We got to see not only opportunity, but we were able to look at some gaps in our recovery and our wellness, some things that we want to change or add to, or maybe even take away. And so here we are. And so many times, every year, right? December 31st, people are making New Year's resolutions that when that new year comes, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to change this. For us who are in recovery, those resolutions may look a little different. Those things that we decide upon may look just a little bit different because every decision that we make, every thought that we have, every step that we move into, it has to be about our wellness and our recovery, right? Sure. And so as we wrap everything according to that, then we also, in our resolutions, we get to use these as an important tool to build wellness and recovery. James and Sarah, one of the things that we understand is that many times our resolutions fail because we make them really vague. Sometimes not using the SMART goal concept, and because of that, we've not thought out how to achieve. I want to do it. I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna run faster. I'm gonna save money. I'm gonna do all of these things. I'm gonna attend more meetings, whatever it is. But oftentimes we do not attach a strategy. And oftentimes we do not attach how we're going to make these things happen. So as we talk today, we not only want to talk about resolutions in vague terms as we define or even discuss ours, but maybe help people connect some specific things that can help those resolutions become reality, and people can really truly experience the change that they want to see. We know for a fact that our goals that are attached to resolution should be SMART goals, right? They should be specific and measurable and action oriented and realistic and timely. And so we get to understand that. James, let me ask you, good brother, as far as resolutions, do you often make them? Are they shaped around your wellness and recovery? And when you do make them, if you do make them, what's your end game with resolutions for you, James?
Aaron, I never make them for the new year. Or I used to years ago, but now what I do is I make them for a quarter. Every quarter, these are my obtainable goals that I believe that I can achieve. The main thing is, are they are you able to scale them with execution? So anytime I make a goal, I go deeper into the rabbit hole to find out, what is it going to take me to execute this goal? Is this going to, am I going to, this is the way I measure if it's possible to happen for the next 3 months, the next quarter, the next 4 months, because I got to go do this or I got to do that. In order for me to get here, I got to get there. Now, that has nothing to do with the pit holes, or I believe with our energy, that when you say out loud you're going to do something, I believe that same opposition will eventually come to you and you have to push through that. So we have to measure those. So for me, I like to say, here are my goals that I've written down. I made sure I wrote them down. That's a grand consecration to my thought process about what I want to do. And then I think, man, let's each one, how fast can I get these things executed? Because if they're not executable for the long term, it's going to be hard for me to achieve them. Then your morale goes down, and then a few days, a few weeks go by, and you haven't done anything. So the second thing I like to add, finding out if I can execute them correctly or in a best possible pace. The second thing is really understanding why, my why. Why is this my goal? What's the main purpose for my goal? So I have to identify why I wrote this stuff down. What is it I'm looking for? Can I execute them within these next few months? And then, I got to know, that just helps me with my own personal wellness to scale or make sure I can make those things happen.
All right, James, thank you. We'll come back in a few seconds. Sarah, resolutions. What do they look like for you, or is it something that you attach to your wellness and your recovery? Is it a December 31st ritual, an annual thing? And if you do resolutions, what do they look like for you?
So I do want to piggyback off of what James is saying. So first of all, the whole making like quarter goals, doing that is such a great idea. I never thought about that because everybody's kind of in the new year, new you, trying to come up with something. I got to change something. And last year, I didn't start on 31st or whatever, but I did last year. I guess the year before, because it's December 2018, it was or 2019, I decided that I wanted to change my eating style, wanted to try to lose some weight. And so executing that was important. I like how James used that word, that vocabulary. But for me, accountability is another thing. So finding someone, for my example, I had my best friend who we both worked together and did just changed our diet a little bit to do some more healthy eating. But it's interesting now with COVID happening and all of us much more isolated, how we find that accountability. And so, looking towards us at PRN or online Facebook groups or other places to find more like-minded people like yourself, for those goals that you're wanting to achieve, and really diving yourself into those groups, whether or if it's your meetings, just finding other people that have those same type goals. I think that's really important.
I want to say hello to Nikki, who's jumped on, and Nikki, we want to say happy New Year to you
Happy New
as you
Year,
hang
Nikki.
out
Happy
with us.
New Year.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as we look at resolutions, and I thank you both because one of the things we do is try to eat the whole elephant, right? I often share with people that life, my pizza analogy, that if you take this wonderful, absolutely great pizza, which I adore, and try to stuff that 16-inch pizza down your throat, you're probably going to get really sick. And the only way to really eat that thing is to slice it up in a way that you can take this largeness and enjoy it slice by slice. And so, James and Sarah, I, as a third party, sign off on that as far as being able to take the largeness of goals and break them down and be able to look at them in something achievable. Um, in July, I launched a 30 days of wellness and made a decision that for July and August, it was probably the best 2 months of 2020 for me. And so I want to be able to not just duplicate it, but add to it. So I'm doing a 60 days of wellness. My point is, part of it is to lose weight. Part of it is to get off sleep medications. I have some plans for that. And as I began to process it with some really close people, I started looking at if I try to look at the chunk of change, the amount of weight I'm trying to lose, and or some of the long-term stuff, it becomes insurmountable. But if I narrow it down to a day-by-day process where I'm building one day on another, I am less likely to fail at it than if I make it so grand that I wear out after a period of time. So definitely grabbing hold of that. Sarah, I want to ask you this. So um, when we look at the 8 dimensions of wellness, and we at PRN build recovery on that foundation, do you look at certain areas of life when it comes to resolutions? Is it a general grand thing, or do you narrow down this specific areas where I'm going to spend most of my focus and my attention?
I think it changes every year. And for me, I have looked back on this past year and how this past year changed for me. I added, just life got so stressful, and for me, it's really important going into this new year that I focus more on myself, what I need more, saying no to people,
Mm.
not saying yes, and trying to help everybody because that's what I want to do. I want to help and do things for everybody, and I can't always do that because my bucket is empty. And so really just paying attention to me and my needs and becoming more self-aware with what I need is where my focus is at this year. But I think it
James,
changes every year.
gotcha. Thank you, Sarah. James, jump in. Same thing with you,
Yeah,
good brother.
I like what you said there. I think that that's important. You know, Listen, oftentimes, all of us have struggled with um, saying yes to bad things for us, right? So that's a good power. You take your power back when you do something like that.
Hmm.
Um, and you need that power. You need that energy for, and to the point where we can get overflow. And that's what we use for other people. So mine's, Aaron, is emotional health and wellness. I feel like, we've all been in a place we've been emotionally drained, you know, mentally and emotionally drained are tied together. So, if you have your emotional balance, within your personal self, I think you can strive to go from that place to another place and the next place, making the next best right decision and then the next best right decision for yourself and your life. Therefore, with that energy flowing, like a beautiful energy flowing to you, it's like the ideas come, you're able to make the decision on, like, it's a nice day. I'm gonna go out and walk on the track, But when we get in the bondage state, it starts usually emotionally, and that keeps us, to me, keeps us from gravitating to other practices that we need for our lives.
I'm with you on that. I'm as you're talking, I'm processing that thought. For me, James, the first is the spiritual piece because of the definition. It talks about our purpose, and immediately after that, for me, is when I plug in the emotional. Right. When I look at purpose, I'm looking at the other seven and saying, okay, which of these do I have to work on? Which of these do I have to spend time with, which is going to allow me to really walk into my purpose? So I generally start with the spiritual dimension of wellness. However, I quickly come back to, because I concur with you that if I'm not emotionally well, that affects everything else. That just simply takes everything else and takes it out of the focus that I need. And so for me, once I dig into, okay, everything adds to or comes from or is a part of my purpose, what now do I now have to address so that I'm really living into my purpose? And for me personally, that next one is always emotional. I have to take my emotional temperature, right, to be
Yeah.
able to make sure that I'm navigating this stuff really, really good. Sarah, you and I talked earlier about some of these things that we look at as far as resolutions that affect our wellness and recovery. I want to do more of this, or I'm going to spend more time with this, or I'm going to refine this.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we talked about was journaling
Mm-hmm.
and how important journaling can be to our wellness and recovery. So, if you would launch us in that, Sarah, what have you found as we talk about resolutions and maybe doing more of something to enhance my recovery and wellness? How do you equate? How do you find journaling to be important to your personal wellness and recovery?
So for me, I started journaling probably when I was a little girl. I have always done it on or off. I think just going forward, knowing we have to be gentle with ourselves. I wanted to add that in at some point. Like, it is totally okay to start something and then you fall back, and you start again and get back up. I think that's important. But so with journaling, um, it has always been a way for me to get my thoughts out. I have crazy anxiety and I'm always nervous, and sometimes my thoughts get all super jumbled in my head. So, by writing down my thoughts, I can really kind of lay it out, really see what I'm actually feeling, um, really kind of see what I need, where my focus should be. Um, Last year, I started doing a gratitude journal. And that was really interesting because it was really hard to think of something I was grateful for sometimes. Sometimes it can be something, so simple, like being outside in that beautiful sunshine. And then other times it's hard to find those little things. So, what I noticed after doing a gratitude journal for a couple of weeks, actually a couple of months, that it was much easier to find things that I was grateful for. Um, and it put me in a better mood because I was focusing on that. So there are different ways you can journal. You can just kind of free write. You can have a topic you want to write about. You can um, do just bullet points of just thoughts and random stuff that comes to your head. So that's one of my favorite things about journaling is just you can really just do whatever. There's no right or wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
James, jump in. What, as far as journaling and your wellness and recovery, how important is it to you? And what do you sort of grab out of? What is that nutrient that journaling brings to your wellness?
Oftentimes, Aaron, journaling brings the answers that we can't think of because we're too busy with all the stuff going on. So, I like Sarah, I've used it in the same way. I remember a time in my life suffering through depression that I had to. Uh, I went through maybe 10 books in like maybe like 6 months of constant journaling, but it helped me. It helped me get through. And it also brought forth answers because I had to divest all that information, as Sarah brought, to taking it out of my brain, out of
Mhm.
my emotional space. And then I was able to do a specific type of journaling. And that was just like she just said, I did a journal on what I deserved.
Oh, I
when,
like
when you
that.
when you are going through the trauma that we gone through, and you're trying to apply wellness, oftentimes we miss the piece of what you deserve. You deserve everything. You deserve happiness, but you don't know that, and you don't believe that. Oftentimes we suffer from alcohol or addictions. We don't even know that we really actually deserve to be happy. And my personal feelings is that we are all really the sole responsibility for our own happiness. So I would do specific journals, just like you said, Sarah. You did one on what you did. I started with deserving, and then I felt better because it changed my vibration and my energy.
I'm gonna
Absolutely.
take that advice. I'm gonna write that down, actually. That's a really great idea.
Y'all throwing nuggets all over the
I
place.
know.
Um, so the Huffington Post put out this article. Um, Absolutely great, I think. 10 surprising benefits you'll get from keeping a journal. And what I like to do is just sort of walk through and have you both sort of chime in. If you hear one that you really want to explore, let's do that. But as I went through these in preparation for today, I found some that really resonated. And so the first is that journaling is an exploration of language. You'll have the natural urge to search for new words and increase your vocabulary. Um, One of the reasons I grab hold of this is because in recovery and wellness, and we really stress it at PRN, is to help people change language. Is to help people
Mm.
change the from the deficit language, right, of what I don't have. And James, you sort of just hit on that to what I deserve, and I deserve to be well. Well, there's a language that comes with that. I don't talk about myself in terms of a diagnosis. I don't talk about myself in terms of an addiction. I talk about myself according to my worth and my value, which is just as great as anybody else's on the planet. So let's talk about that for just a second. How important journaling is to being able to help create the language that actually identifies who I am as a person, developing and building wellness. Sarah, I'm going to start with you if you don't mind.
So I feel like that helps because you can really practice those vocabulary words and really kind of start to see yourself laid out on paper. And sometimes it doesn't always start out that way, but it can kind of shift your focus, and you can really start writing what you want to believe, even if you start out with that, even if you don't believe it, putting those words on paper, making that mantra, and then even reading it back to you. Even if you don't believe it, going ahead and saying, that you're important. You can get up today. You're beautiful. Sometimes that's even hard to say. Um, but yeah, I like that. I like how that it can really, I like that we're talking about how it can really shift that thought of you.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that, James?
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that. She's right. I mean, again, this helps change our narrative for ourselves. It helps change our vibration and our energy, because you go from a darker side to a lighter side once you begin to believe. It takes a long time. It's not a quick fix,
Mhm.
but it does work over time, changing your narrative, your own narrative. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. We've used it for ourselves, and what recovery looks like isn't always a person smiling, jumping for joy. During that time, you don't look like that. But at the end, you do look like that. It's like I carried the child for 9 months and now look at this joyful baby I got. But so at the end, that's the picture that they usually show. And to get there, we have to go through those things. So I think, again, changing the narratives, changing instead of saying what we are, what if we dare to say what we're going to be? That's what I am now. This is just a temporary pattern right now. Oh, this what you just see is just temporary. I am this. So therefore that will come.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I just want to say Happy New Year to Reggie. The family's checking in. Happy New Year to Reggie, to Darlene, and to Allison. Just wanted to
Hey
make
guys.
sure we said hello to everybody. Um, So as we continue the conversation, right? So Sarah, another point is that journaling helps it helps um, evoke mindfulness, and mindfulness is that buzzword. Most of our platform, so much of our platform is about mindfulness. Here's the statement. There's a strong connection between happiness and mindfulness. Journaling brings you into that state of mindfulness. Past frustrations and future anxieties lose their edge in the present moment. It calls a wandering mind to attention, from passivity to actively engaging with your thoughts. Nikki writes in 2021, her 2021 is about positive thinking, motivation, mental and physical health care. So, Sarah, as far as mindfulness and journaling, how has that allowed you to experience mindfulness as you journal?
Because, like I said before, when I'm journaling, I'm concentrating on one thing, not all the 5,000 things that are going through my head, and I'm trying to, figure out everything. It literally just helps you focus just on that one thing. You can choose, you have power, you can get lost in that thought. Of that one specific thing. And then honestly, I have been journaling before, and you just kind of, after a little bit, you just kind of drift and you stop really thinking, but the words are coming out on the paper. It's pretty amazing. And for me, sometimes meditating is difficult because I'm so distracted all the time. And so by doing something, sometimes physical, if it's yoga or something, but sometimes journaling, by doing something or doodling or drawing, it does kind of help draw my attention away from all the distractions and focus on myself.
James, I want to throw this in there. Another point is journaling sparks your creativity. And that's important because the people who are chiming on, I'm looking at some of the names, are some of the most creative people that I have met in wellness and recovery, talking about Allison and Nikki and Reggie and Darlene. So here's what I would like to ask you, James. How does journaling affect your creativity? And I've spent a lot of time talking to you, brother. You're out of the box thinker, and so creativity is something that you dwell in. How does journaling help that?
Sarah talked about it. I mean, in my vision, the way I think, and we steal time from ourselves every single day. If we got 24 hours, and if you just think about it, Aaron, you might have heard me say it before. If we got 24 hours and we just spent 2 hours talking about how much money she owed me from 2 years ago and calling everybody to keep that vibration going, or we spend 4 hours worrying about tomorrow and next month I got this and oh my God and oh my God, you just stole, what's that, 4 and 2, that's 6 hours from yourself. So when you put mindfulness to the task and you get into journaling, things become freer up here in this egg we have. And when we free up that time, we're focused, and then we have the availability to be creative. So now ideas come. Now I have a clear head, and my ideas are coming. And wow, this must came from somewhere. And oh, and no one has this. And this now we're creating businesses and things like that. So mindfulness is key. It's one of the greatest things that ever been verbalized by working our space in the mindfulness by so many greats like Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra. All those people teach us how to be mindful and focus on something. And one of those things that's very powerful is the art of journaling.
Yeah, I concur. Now, in conversation with my buddy and sidekick Amanda today, we was talking, and Amanda and I talked about verbal journaling, and that journaling does not just have to look like this, and it is the activity of journaling. And so for some of us, it would be the written page. For some of us, it is that time in the mirror when we spend time having conversation, which is more my groove. Being able to have those constant conversations. Um, Speaking of creativity, how can people find creative ways to be able to journal, to get the benefits of journaling, but not necessarily sit down and write on a piece of paper? Either one, it doesn't matter. Somebody jump in.
I think
Go
I
ahead.
think geographical journaling. I think, if you like being in nature, take the book with you. You may not use it. You may just use verbal journaling. You may just be speaking it out. It's still divesting that energy out, the things that you have trouble with, and also divesting out the things that you desire.
Sarah?
What about, I'm glad you brought that up. I have never, or I've noticed like if I'm typing that it doesn't work well, but that may work well for somebody typing, painting, um, or drawing rather than just writing. You can express your thoughts and stuff through art. You don't have to be writing words and stuff. You can kind of get ideas through that. So yeah, that's what I would suggest.
Absolutely. And the reason I thought that was important because we know that recovery is not a one size fits all, right? And so journaling becomes such an important tool, but because we all approach recovery differently, we can find different ways to journal. I listened to what you just said, Sarah, about typing. Typing is more for me, right? Even though it's using these two fingers, I get so much more out of that
That's funny how that's
than
different
writing.
for everybody.
It really is. And so if you're listening to this and you're hanging out with us, just remember that if writing with a pen or pencil is not your groove, there are just so many different ways to be able um, to journal. So besides the creativity, James, here's one that I really love. It says that journaling benefits your self-confidence. It says journaling about a positive experience allows your brain to relive it and
Yeah.
reaffirms your abilities when the ugly head of self doubt appears. The release of endorphins and dopamine will boost your self esteem and moods. These reflections can become a catalog for or of personal achievements that you continue to go back to. James, connect us with journaling and self confidence.
It's either or. We got a choice, guys. I mean, you know, we can do either or. So when you're journaling, you're repetitively putting whatever that energy is into the atmosphere, into yourself, back into your mind. So if you're doing some positive journaling or you're getting it out with things that had that you went through, it's still again divesting. So when we connect the dots, we have become our own best self help, because what we're doing is we're speaking the words, we're writing the words, we're typing with the two fingers, Aaron, the words, you know, but the words have power. So therefore, it's going to change. I like the way Dr. Wayne Dyer said it years ago. He said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So
Mhm.
it changes the vision that's stuck in here now. If we do it 150 times, sometimes it's not going to be once, but once we start to do that, man, it can change our actions later, our choices subconsciously down the road. I choose not to hang around certain types of people or energy. Sarah said I choose to hold within myself some things and not say yes to everything. So
Mhm.
now she keeps more power, and those choices will stay with her, even though she's not thinking about it.
I used to look at Dr. Wayne's Wire when he would come on with like 2, 3 in the morning, man, way back in the day. That was my guy. Sarah, the
I
same
love
thing
it.
with you, self-confidence and that connection of journaling and self-confidence.
Yeah, I think just what James has been saying, how we have so much power in our verbal or in our writing or in our two finger typing, or painting, that we can really shift how we see things. And it takes, like we said, it does take time to, doing it a couple of times, however way we choose, so that we can kind of really decide which way works best for us, and what things we do want to see differently, and who we do want to be. I mean, we may not know, but we won't know until we try.
Healing is one of the pieces that's here, one of the points, and I want to spend just a little time with that because in Aaron world, at the end of the day, it's about our healing, right? Our wellness is about us healing from and walking into and living in that healing. Oftentimes, we want to treat. And in treating and in treatments, that doesn't necessarily equate to healing. And once we are healed, our potential to really move into destiny is fulfilled, and we all have one. It says here, expressive writing is a route to healing emotionally, physically, and psychologically. Um, Stress often comes from emotional blockages and overthinking hypotheticals. Here's a quote: when we translate an experience into language, we essentially make the experience graspable. And in doing so, you free yourself from mentally being tangled in traumas. Let's talk about the healing aspect of of journaling. I think it's a summation of everything you've said already, but specifically using that word. And Sarah, I'm gonna start with you. How do you connect your personal healing through the traumas of life and situations of life that got us on this road of recovery to find our wellness? How does journaling help promote and bring healing into Sarah world?
So what works best for me and what really helps me continue this road is taking that time for myself and then just focusing on me, because I don't have that's really important for me, is just to really focus and schedule that time for myself. And so by really taking that time, I have a lot going on right now
Okay.
over here. But yeah, it helps me focus on myself, which is my emotional health and my spiritual health, and then I can continue those other parts of my wellness recovery.
James, jump on. Thank you, Sarah. Jump in there, James.
Thanks, Sarah. I think that you're right. Listen, for me, it's been facing the giants, really facing giants. Aaron, you hit on it when you talked about in the mirror, facing the giants. And the biggest giant is the self sometimes. If we talk about emotional healing came for me through facing what was, being honest, calling a thing, and dealing with it from there, and then find a way to release it um, um, beyond that point. So, sometimes you might know right when you release it. Sometimes it just happens, and when it happens, you feel so much freer, and then things come into your life. Some things start coming in your life, and you're really free from those things that held you kind of in bondage. And it was thoughts, it was thought processes, it was belief systems, it was things that we didn't, you know about ourselves, or it was things that we did not want to deal with. So, emotional, you talked about it, Aaron, you brought it up again, the emotional, in that the words you spoke about that process, those emotional things of bondage. So I think that that's how I was able to get free from some of those things.
Thank you. I got a couple more, y'all, and then we're gonna land the plane. I said I wasn't gonna use that term too much in 2021, but I guess it's like still writing 2020 and crossing it out and initialing it. Here's one that I hold firm to. Um, Recovery doesn't just happen, right? It just doesn't happen. And recovery is an intentional effort on a daily basis, a moment to moment basis, sometimes a thought to thought basis to be well, to live wellness. And so one of the points here in the article is that journaling strengthens self-discipline.
Mm.
And so much of self-discipline is a part of recovery, because recovery does not just happen. It's an intentional effort. It says setting time aside to write, whether morning or evening, is an act of discipline, and discipline begets discipline. Like a muscle, the more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. And habits formed in one area of life have a tendency to spread. Amen to that. As keeping your office clean helps keep other areas clean. I'm gonna take my amen back. So, um, self-discipline, as far as journaling, how does the act of or the habit of journaling help with self-discipline in other areas? I'm gonna start with you, James.
Well, it's consistency. We can all use a little consistency. I know I can. So it keeps you in a process of being consistent. And then when you see the process begin to work, You want more consistency. You want more patterns of behavior. So I think that's probably the best way I can describe it.
Sarah, jump on board.
Yeah, the consistency is right, like James said, we are creatures of habit. And so, last year we weren't expecting, everything to shift like it did. And so it really threw everybody for a loop. We like consistency. I myself do like a little different. I don't like driving the same road every day. That gets boring. But I do like routine, and knowing like when I get up in the morning, I'm going to have my coffee. It's a great time to sit down and do some type of journaling.
All right. I've got a couple more, and then we're done. This one I like, James, and it takes us back to one of the things we talked about early on as we build on the 8 dimensions of wellness, and it talks about our emotional intelligence. And here's what the article says: emotional intelligence is the ability to perceive and manage your emotions and that of others. Journaling is an outlet for processing emotions and increasing self-awareness. This internal familiarity becomes a bridge of empathy. You'll better intuitive and understand what others are experiencing. How would you connect journaling to this point of emotional intelligence? And Sarah, this time I'm starting with you.
Oh, okay.
That's a good one. Really good
It
one.
is a really good one. It's funny that you're talking about that. I know before we came on live, you met my daughter. She's usually beside me at some point. And talking about emotions with her is important. I've learned that I still have a lot to learn when it comes to emotional intelligence. It's not something that most of us were taught growing up. Pretty much you're angry, you need to calm down. You're sad, you need to stop crying. And that's pretty much it. But there are so many more other emotions and different types of feelings. And so when you start to acknowledge those and write them down or paint them or verbalize these emotions, you start to understand it better.
Yeah.
Jump in, James.
When we do that, Sarah, it resonates with us, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we can see now some of those things in other people.
Yeah.
Now here comes the empathy. Now we can say when we were in a less conscious mind of it, we would say this she's crazy, But now we can have empathy for what others are going through.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mirror. I think animals don't have that mirror. The mirror that if Aaron with his big hands punched me in the face, somebody would go, "Ow." I don't think animals have that, but that mirror is the same thing. Like, wow, I can see the struggle in someone else, which is one of the reasons we do the work we do. And now I have empathy instead of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It,
Exactly.
it continues here. It says, and it's a summation: being able to get on the same page with someone is a mark of emotional intelligence and allows for a deeper connection. I
Mm.
want to add to that as I've listened to the both of you sort of break this down and chime in, that journaling allows us the best deep connection that's with ourselves. So oftentimes we have things locked in here. It's what we think, and we have things locked in here. It's how we feel, and they're like Bloods and Crips. They're always warring. And journaling allows us to empty out what we're thinking, empty out how we're feeling, and to be able to marry these two, to be able to connect these two in such a way that they become in sync, and that I don't have to be at an internal struggle with how I'm thinking and how I'm feeling. And journaling helps that. Journaling helps bring a peace to our wellness and recovery that sometimes the other activities that we're exerting, we don't have an opportunity to really process where we are as far as our thinking and how we feel. I want to thank you both. I want to get a last word. We're going to put the plane in the hangar. That's the last time I'm going to use that today.
He's not. He's not telling the truth, Sarah. He's
I
going to
don't
use it
believe
again.
him. He's
I
already
know. I'll probably do it tonight too.
Right.
Hey, let's wind it up. So, Sarah, journaling, the importance of journaling, and if you could share with anyone today a Sarah moment that they can grab hold of moving forward as far as journaling and recovery, what would it be?
Okay, I think the first step to journaling for anybody, I actually have this over here, and I'm gonna be honest, it hasn't really got a lot of work into it yet, but finding something that cute to inspire you to just feel more comfortable about working more inside yourself.
I appreciate that. That works. James, give it to us.
I think that I can feel like, it doesn't matter as long as you start. I would like for us to start with being kind to ourselves. Sometimes it doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes journaling is part of that healing process that, might get a little ugly, but as long as it's getting there. So this is a process of just starting something for the sake of movement and being fluid. If you're fluid in journaling, whatever you're writing or whatever you're speaking, that's like anything. That's like someone searching for something, and you see them over here, then over there. It's better that they're searching than that they're not doing anything. So I like to say that I would just be fluid. Start with whatever you're writing, and then maybe look at some specific writing, like I talked about, what I deserve.
Thank you so much. So these benefits of journaling have been explained and shared by Sarah and James, who sort of had this down as a rhythm and intricate part of their wellness and recovery. And so as we look at resolutions for the year, here's just a suggestion, right? Because one size doesn't fit all, but the suggestion is consider journaling and consider journaling that works for you, your style of recovery, your approach to recovery, your methods of recovery. I'm a two-finger typer and I'm a mirror talker. That's not for everybody, but find what works for you. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that you create and connect some smart goals to whatever your resolution is, whatever your resolutions are. Hope you have a revolution in wellness and recovery. But whatever your resolutions are, I really hope it is my prayer and thought for you that you get to, whoever you are, connect some really smart goals to your resolution. Don't try to eat the whole elephant,
Mm.
but don't be as vague. And to thought by thought, minute by minute, day by day, build the recovery and the wellness that you want. And journaling could be a very helpful tool. I want to thank everybody who's out there watching today and hanging out with us. Please share this conversation. Has been a great conversation. Please share it, like it. Make sure you come as often as you can to our classes. I want to put some warm line information out there. Sarah, if you don't mind, take a minute to talk about warm line for us.
Yeah, when we started, I didn't even mention that.
All right.
But yes, I am working. I'm one of the people that works the warm line. So we are there 24/7 to listen to you, to talk with you, to be with you, to support you, to connect you to resources, connect you to more Promise Resource Network people. So definitely check us out and give us a call if you need someone.
And really, warm line can be for a few moments out of your day a
Verbal
method of
journal.
journaling.
That is
Verbal
true.
Absolutely.
journal. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Verbal journaling. And so, and you have people who are living and walking recovery and building recovery and wellness on the other end who can help you, who will definitely listen, but can help you process those things you choose to. So thank you so much. James, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on and hanging out today on Recovery 101. Sarah, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us on Recovery 101. Look forward to having you both on other platforms very, very soon.
Yes.
Everybody, we love you. Recovery is the journey. Wellness is the goal. Let's make it happen on a daily basis. We love you, and we will talk to you next week, same time.
Are you gonna say it, Aaron? Is the plane landed?
We put the plane in the hangar.
I told you, Sarah.
Oh my God.
I tried, y'all. I tried. What can I say? I tried.
All
Listen, we
right.
love you. Enjoy your day.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.